finally got the Analogue Pocket. They finally arrived. I've been waiting for this thing for many months. And I just wanted to talk about this device and what it could mean to you as a gamer, as a person of nostalgia, someone perhaps who's my age. I'm 46 years old, and buying a device like this, you know, look, if you're a retro gamer or you're already plugged into this whole scene, then you already know all about the Analogue Pocket. You don't need me to give you specs and speed and chipset data. You can go over to places like Digital Foundry and other places like that to dive more deeply into it. But I just wanted to talk about this device in terms of what it would mean, where it would fit maybe in my life as a father of three, and being able to play games and enjoy playing video games and old games and new games at the same time. And I thought it'd be fun to kind of dive into this. And I'm not going to do any gameplay today here. I just want to open it up. I want to talk about it. And I want to get your thoughts on this. When I first learned about this device, it got me in the feels. It really spoke to me as a person who got the original Game Boy. And I can just remember, oh my God, just sitting back and getting Super Mario Land. Let me pull out my Super Mario Land here. This is my original copy of Super Mario Land. And this game to me was transformative. Being able to sit in my bed and play Mario Brothers and a whole new game created just for my handheld, where my parents, said, okay, it's bedtime. I said, okay, I'm just going to sit here and play for a little bit with my nightlight on in my room, and I'm just going to enjoy this new adventure with the pharaohs and all of the sort of ancient Egypt iconography. And then of course, everything changed when I was able to get my hands on Tetris. And it was an unbelievable moment to be able to play this game for the first time, and became, of course, one of the most addicting games ever. So if you're one of those people, I think like me, who you have a fondness for these games back in the day, or some of those old Game Boy games or Game Boy Advance games or Game Boy Color games, maybe you have some of them sitting around your house and they're in a box somewhere in the garage, and you thought maybe you threw them out many moons ago and you've moved 3 or 4 times in your 20s and 30s. This is really exciting to be able to play those games again, to bring them into the future. Because, I mean, let's be honest, how many of you still have an original Game Boy sitting around? I mean, if you do, then this video is probably not for you, right? How many of you probably still have an original Game Boy Color sitting around, or a Game Boy Advanced sitting around? Maybe you do, and you're one of those people that has it in a box somewhere, but it's got an old screen. It's going to look outdated. You got to pop in batteries in that bad boy, and who wants to do replacement batteries on a device like that anymore? So this device really spoke to me. And when I started watching videos and reviews on it, I thought, this is going to be exciting. This is going to be for me. But maybe I'm wrong, right? So this is going to be I'm just going to unbox this here today, and I'm just going to take a look at it and see if this would fit into my life. And I want to see how much I actually play this device. So anyway, I'm just going to open this up here, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, what you guys think about playing on a device like this. Now, what's interesting about the Pocket is that it's FPGA. So if you're not familiar with what FPGA is, it's replicating really the original hardware of the Game Boy, the Game Boy Advance, and the Game Boy Color. Oh, this is beautiful. And you right away feel how gorgeous, very hefty too. Really well built. Very nice and clicky. The screen, of course, is very large and gorgeous. Of course, all of the different carts from the different Game Boys will slide right into the back here. It's got the triggers. It's got back button triggers on here as well. It charges over USB-C, which is nice. And I also picked up the dock as well. So to be able to play original cartridges on modern hardware, where I can just recharge this device, put it into a dock, charge it with USB-C, and be able to play all of these original games on a beautiful new display, to me is really, really magical and really exciting. And so that's really why I picked up this device. Again, we will see how many games I end up playing, and be able to sit in bed and play some of these games. I'm excited to give that a try. And I will say, I decided to also pick up a few new game cartridges that I'd never owned before. So while I did have Super Mario Land, I had Super Mario Tennis, golf. I had a number of games on the Game Boy, and I loved my Game Boy, but I never played some other games. So I picked up Astro Boy for the Game Boy Advance, and I never had a Game Boy Advance. And I know there's so many great games for the Game Boy Advance, and I think this really makes it an intentional product also, where I can go to a retro game store and just look for some loose carts. A lot of these games are incredibly cheap, especially if you're buying them without a box and no manual, and you just want to enjoy the games and you just want to play the games. You can go to a lot of retro game stores and go to their Game Boy section, and you can find a fantastic assortment of these games for really, really cheap. And so there are a lot of great games to be able to pick up on this handheld device and be able to play. For instance, Dragon Warrior 1 and 2, I picked that up for the Game Boy Color. Now, I did buy this complete in box, and I picked this one up off of eBay because I'm a huge Dragon Warrior fan. So to be able to play this for the very first time on the Analogue Pocket, I'm excited to try that. I also picked up a game I never played before for the Game Boy Advance, and that's The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. Of course, a classic Zelda game. I've heard nothing but amazing things about it, and I've never had a chance to play it. It is also available now, and Nintendo added it to the Nintendo family of game services on their subscription service for the Nintendo Switch. So if you are a Nintendo Switch subscriber and you pay for their monthly online service and all of that, you can go into the Game Boy Advance section and play Minish Cap on your Nintendo Switch if you like. But this is original game cartridge, and being able to play it on essentially almost like original hardware because it's FPGA with this beautiful new screen for the Analogue Pocket. I'm really excited about that. A couple of other games I picked up here. Everyone says, of course, if you want to play a great RPG on the Game Boy Advance, you've got to play Golden Sun. So I had to pick up Golden Sun. I know people have very strong feelings about Golden Sun, and I thought, I'll give that a shot. I'll give Golden Sun a shot. I've heard some mixed things about it, though. People say it's not all it's cracked up to be. What about you guys? Have you guys played Golden Sun? Do you have fond memories of it? But I thought I'm going to build a curated collection here for the Analogue Pocket to be able to play a lot of these great games that I've never had a chance to play before. And here's one. I'm a huge, huge Metroid fan. Always have been. The first game I ever beat on the NES was Metroid. Beating Mother Brain for the first time was, I couldn't believe that I had done it. It seemed like one of the most amazing accomplishments ever. And if you think about how difficult Metroid is today, if you just play modern versions of games, it's all the more impressive that I was able to pull that off at such a young age. But I never had a chance to play Metroid Fusion for the Game Boy Advance. And again, heard nothing but amazing things about this game as well. So I picked this up. So I'm going to be playing this on the Analogue Pocket. I highly recommend, though, if you get a chance to pick up one of the Analogue Pockets, and I think they're about to do another run of them. They were sold out. Here is the Analogue dock, and I highly recommend this because you can plug this into your television with HDMI, and it allows you then to pair a Bluetooth controller to the Analogue Pocket and play some of these games on your HDMI television, which is really great. If you don't want to so think of it like the Nintendo Switch. If you don't want to just play it in portable mode, you can also play it on your big screen television here. So this is the dock. If I could find the USB-C. Oh, it's more straight up and down. Okay, more straight up and down in the dock. There you go. And sort of nice little charging dock. I like the presentation of this as well. I think that's really nice. So yeah, I guess I have some mixed feelings about it, because with like a shiny new system, like a new, Switch 2 or something like that we're all going to be excited about, it'll open up a whole new series of brand new games. There'll be fantastic launch titles and all of those things. And with the Analogue Pocket, there's no launch titles. But in many ways, you can kind of create your own launch titles, right? You can go back and find the games that everyone has talked about over the years that we never had a chance to play. There was a 15-year gap in my game playing where I was moving across the country trying to make a name for myself and working hard and focused on my career. And I didn't really game that much at all. And so there were systems and games that I totally missed. And for me, the Game Boy Advance totally passed me by. Never got to play it at all. And so in many ways, this is exciting. It's like getting a brand new system with a whole library of launch titles available for you right out of the gate. It's, wow, what launch titles do you want to start with? Not just the 4 that the PlayStation 5 is launching with, but what are the games that you want to pick and choose? And then go to a retro game store and ask them if they have Game Boy Advance games. Do you have some Game Boy games? And to pick up some of these classic titles like Metroid Fusion, Super Mario Land. The list is quite endless, to be able to play on the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Color, and the Game Boy system of games, the original system. For me, this is exciting. It's almost like having the launch of brand new hardware with a complete library of games to pick from, instead of just 4 or 5 launch titles like you get with the launch of a PlayStation 5 or whatever whatever it is. So for me, in many ways, it's like that. It's like, here's a brand new system that you've never played before, and you have an entire library of games to curate and pick and to experience for the first time. So I guess that's why I wanted to talk about that in those terms, because we're busy people. We've got all these new systems, all these new games are launching on a regular basis, but this is a system that you could be intentional about. You could buy one of these Analogue Pockets. You could go out and seek certain high-rated games that maybe you missed in your life, and build a little library and really kind of make it your own, but also get to experience some of these classic games that people have rant and raved about over the years. And it's kind of exciting. I'm excited about it. So we'll see if it holds. Let's see. I'm going to give it a few weeks of playing, check in maybe in a few months here, and see my thoughts on the Analogue Pocket now that I've finally been able to secure one of them. I know that Analogue right now is working to restock them on their website. I know that they're trying to get more of the colored versions in. They keep selling out of them. There's been a lot of criticism about how many they have available, and then they sell out really quickly. Again, I'm not a manufacturer. I have no idea what it takes to put into building something like this, so I'm not going to be critical of that. But I will say maybe check on their website at Analogue, I think it's analogue.co, to see if they have any more available right now. But I'm excited about it. Let me know in the comments below. Are you going to pick up an Analogue Pocket? Are you thinking about it? Do you already own one? And if so, tell me, what are some of your favorite games that you've been playing on the Analogue Pocket? Oh, I also picked up a case for it, because the Analogue Pocket does not come with a case. Analogue does sell like this hard shell plastic case on their website. I didn't like the idea of that, so I wanted to pick up a case that I could put some cartridges in as well. So it's just a hard shell case, basically a hard shell case, where it has a zipper up top, so you can put different game cartridges in here if you want to carry a few with you. Put a few Game Boy cartridges in there. It's got this sort of protective padded flap here, and I'll just show you how the pocket would fit in here. It's got these 2 Velcro holders in here as well, so just be able to pop the hot pocket in, and then it just kind of straps right there. You may want to get one of those protective screen covers for it, the sort of the plastic screen cover that goes over. I know Analogue sells those as well. You can pick those up on Amazon though as well, and then close that up, and then zips up nice. So then it comes with a carabiner and a holder as well. So yeah, just a simple case I picked up on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below. By the way, I didn't even talk about the EverDrive and putting emulation on this device. That means being able to buy an EverDrive cartridge and put every Game Boy Advance game on one cartridge and every Game Boy Advance game, every Game Boy game on one cartridge, having an entire library right there emulated on this device. I'm going to save that for another video. Right now, I'm sticking to just the actual physical carts on this device right now. And that's kind of what I'm most excited about, is playing some original carts on this brand new hardware and kind of creating my own library, so to speak. Anyways, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this, guys. Are you buying an Analogue? What games are you playing on this device? Drop me a comment below, and we'll see you next time. Now I got some games to play.